Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed, but we are joined by a very special guest and fellow new-coming podcaster, Jesse Martin of the Bleeding Burgundy Podcast. Thank you for joining us tonight, sir.
Thanks for having me. It's definitely a pleasure to come on with you guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We have so much to get into. We're going to talk about the press conference from Martin Mayhew and Marty Hurney, and then we're going to get in briefly about the Super Bowl and then with fan questions and everything. So we're going to have a great show lined up for you guys. And first things first, I want to ask, though, Jesse, the press conference with Marty Hurney and Martin Mayhew, what was your kind of feeling from that press conference? Did you come away from it feeling a lot more confident about where the front office and this organization is headed?
The first thing that comes to mind is there's adults in the building now that are running the team.
Right.
And our buddy Andy Burrows put out a tweet today that said it was quite boring. And I'm okay with that. Yes, it was boring, but it's no drama. And that is refreshing on what I think is. It's very refreshing, and I'm excited.
Of course it was boring. It's a press conference.
Right. But they're not talking about drama, and it's it just seems like there's actually adults running the show.
Right.
And it gives me hope. It definitely does.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Hall, what about you? Is there anything? Were you able to watch that press conference?
Oh, of course.
What was your kind of feeling from that? Was there anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, just stood out that it seems like they're really dedicated to getting this franchise back to the glory days. Obviously, These guys were around in the glory days.
Mm-hmm.
They've been here, they've experienced it. You can kind of hear like they were talking about how they still have friends in the area, family in the area. Their kids kind of grew up here, stuff like that. So, again, more ties, just like players, more ties with to the area, more guys with ties to the area, and more guys that care about winning and want to turn around an organization and get them back to the prominent days. So nothing but good things, and I'm literally nothing but hope. And like I said, we've said it numerous times, but like this is the first time in a while I've actually had hope that we're going to be like actually trending upward instead of just like, oh, one good season, let's drop back down for a couple of years. One good season. So definitely good things on the horizon, I think.
Yeah, one of the things that I took away from it, I was very surprised that Ron Rivera kind of got into the Kyle Smith angle of it. And he said that, the one snippet of the audio that he said was, Kyle Smith was involved with some of the things that happened here, and I wanted to move on from it. Reed, were you able to hear that? That took me by surprise.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, Ron's somebody who doesn't really beat around the bush. He's just going to kind of say whatever comes to mind. And in a way, that's a good thing. I think, like you guys said, now that adults are in the room, it's definitely a good thing. You don't want this press conference to be a circus, but the fact that he even brought up Kyle Smith, I think said a lot, especially because so many Washington fans were just all about Kyle Smith becoming the next GM, all about keeping him on board. Rod felt like he had to address it in some sort of way, just letting them know what he did and that unfortunately they had to move on. So it definitely caught me by surprise, but I shouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, and it was funny because Ron Rivera talked about how, like, after he left Carolina after 9 seasons, he needed a fresh start. And that's how he kind of viewed it with Kyle Smith. And that took me by surprise. Like, dude, he must really not like Kyle Smith. Like, there had to have been a major disconnect there.
Something had to have happened.
Exactly. And that's how I kind of viewed it. And then with Martin Mayhew, I thought my favorite part of that was a reporter asked him a follow-up question. And this man said, you're just asking the question a different way, and I'm not going to do it. I absolutely love that. A no-nonsense type of guy, right? And that's how I kind of viewed it. And seeing these guys in the building, it makes me a lot more confident with what's happening because, Martin Mayhew talked about how as soon as they got hired, it was like rapid fire. They started going to work right away. And that these aren't dudes that are they're going to be like Bruce Allen sitting there chugging beers all day, drinking Coors Light, like having a good old time with the good old boys. They're going to be there going to work. And I really do appreciate that they're going to be doing their due diligence to be making sure that this team is getting to where they're going. So I'm very, very excited about it. What about you? Brother? What do you think, Jesse?
It's like I said before, it gives us hope for the future, and bringing those guys home is also a good thing for them. I think they will be more inclined to work harder just because they're from here.
Yeah.
You know, they
Right.
started their jobs here,
Yeah.
and for them to come back, and like I said, man, I think it's a very good thing. I know a lot of people wanted the new exciting person, whether it's, you know, Ryan Crowden or even promoting Kyle Smith up to that job. I think they got the right people to build the collective.
Right.
And we all know Ron's the boss. Okay.
Right.
He's going to be making the decisions around there. So he's going to use them as sounding boards and to take off the administrative work. And they're already, you know, when I heard that they were calling each other 20 times a day, that right there, you know, clicked off a bell.
Right.
They jumped off the plane and started running. So
yeah. Now, you brought up the fact that the guys have ties to the franchise and ties to the area. That's one thing that we talked about last offseason with all of the signings, that they brought in Kendall Fuller. Right. They brought in Ronald Darby. They brought in Sean Davis, even though he didn't make the team. But they brought in all these guys with ties to the area who actually would care about the team and actually gave a shit and would probably want to go out there and give it their all for this franchise. So I think that's another very important thing.
The biggest takeaway from the press conference is that Marty Hurney does not like wearing face masks.
No.
Properly.
And another thing you got to think about the Kyle Smith thing is, like, a lot of people around the league were kind of thinking like the fans were and like the fan base was. Right. Obviously, I think they wanted to keep him here because they didn't want to have like another Kyle Shanahan, McVay, LaFleur type of thing where, oh, another young guy leads an organization, does great things, becomes the new hot thing in the NFL. But at the same time, you got to believe that they have a lot of faith that Eric Stokes can do what Kyle Smith did, if not better, because
they were very quick to bring him up.
They also interviewed him.
And they interviewed him.
Yeah, they interviewed him for the GM spot instead of Kyle Smith. So
you
got to think that they know what he's doing and he's on the fast track to maybe one day take Marty Mayhew's job or someone like that. So
yeah, and a big congratulations to our boy and former guest Doug Williams. He was given a promotion to be the personal advisor to Jason Wright. A lot of congratulations to him. There's nobody more perfect for that job to be able to get. He's a legend in the area. Everyone loves Doug Williams. Dude, my
legend in the NFL.
My favorite part from that interview of Doug Williams was when he accidentally said the R word. And his reaction, remember, he was like, oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
He did he did the exact same thing on our podcast when he talked about him.
That's what I'm talking about from our pod.
But he said it on NFL Network earlier today.
Did he really?
He accidentally said Redskins. Sorry. He accidentally said that and did almost the same thing where he was like, oh, but just kept going with it. So shout out to him.
Yeah, absolutely love Doug Williams. That was the best possible thing. And then speaking of promotions, JP Finley and Brian Mitchell getting the midday slot for 106.7.
I was just listening to them.
Their lineup is stacked throughout the day now. I know, no disrespect to Pete and everything, Pete Medhurst. I love Pete.
He's going to kill it at 980. He'll be good.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be great with Chris Russell for the afternoon drive. But, dude, I love B-Mitch because, you know, B-Mitch is going to give you that kind of no-nonsense, like, he's not going to form his opinion based on what others think. B-Mitch is going to tell you, and he's going to be real about it.
I mean, that's cool. Like, it should have been us, but, like, it's okay. Like,
you're absolutely right about that. No, you're not. But since the last time that we recorded, it was literally almost like 15 to 20 minutes after we stopped recording on Tuesday night. The news got released that the Raiders are trying to get 2 first-round picks for David Carr. And so
Derek Carr.
Dude, they're one and the same. Who cares, dude? They both look alike, all right?
One of them, they look like you.
Better,
they look like you.
Don't.
Yeah. One of them's good, and one of them is.
You could be a stunt double.
One of them has a Super Bowl.
Kyle.
They could be. Yeah. Oh, that's right. David Carr does have a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he does.
That's right, with the Giants, right?
If you white.
Oh, that's right. He was Eli's backup. I forgot about that.
If you white, you look like David Carr. No, but let's hear your opinions, because on Tuesday night, Hall and Reed, we were talking in our group chat, and you guys were on board with sending those 2 firsts. And one of the defenses from you, Hall, was that, look, maybe next year if we do get Carr, that second first round pick is going to be the 32nd overall pick.
Well, in his defense, he said between 28 and 32. So
okay,
I didn't say 30.
Right, he didn't necessarily say we're going to win the Super Bowl. He said.
Be more confident, Hall.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have confidence that if we get Derek Carr, that we will become a playoff contender. And once you get into the playoffs, obviously you get hot. Anything can happen. Look what happened to the Giants both times. So that was my thinking about it. And I was like thinking after time and after like really thinking back and like thinking about it, I'm obviously not going to give up 2 first-round picks.
Yeah,
my thinking at the time when it first dropped was we already missed on Matt Stafford. We're
Do
probably
whatever
not
it
going to
takes
be
to
in the
get some
running
money.
for Deshaun Watson.
Right.
Would you rather have Sam Darnold? Obviously, he'll be a little bit cheaper, younger quarterback. Or would you rather have Derek Carr, who the last 2 years he's putting up pretty good to not
especially
great
last
numbers.
year. Yeah.
That's actually a good question. I was even thinking about that earlier today.
Yeah. So I mean,
I wouldn't want to pay 2 first-round picks for Derek Carr. I like Derek Carr. Looking at his stats, the past 3 years, he's gotten better and better each year. And in this past year, it was his best year yet as a pro. I would trade a first-round pick for him, but 2 is just too much.
Yeah, I think we were just me and Hall were kind of riding that high where we're like, well, we missed out on Stafford. What else is left? What else is there?
Exactly.
2 first-round picks? No, I'm not doing that. If you're gonna give up multiple first-round picks, you might as well just go all in and go after Watson at that point.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
Right.
I know, absolutely. I told you I was emotional at the time. I wasn't thinking about actual logic. I was just like, no, we need him now. We need him now.
One of the funniest thing was one of our Raiders friends in our group chat for our Facebook group chat is a huge Raiders fan, and he was trying to tell us that sending those 2 first-rounders that makes sense because Washington is so desperate and Carr's coming off the best season of his career, and I rebutted with him and I was like, well, if he's that good, why won't you guys keep him? And then he said, well, he had the most fumbles than anyone at the quarterback position last year. I was like, dude, this man went from gassing him up to literally trashing him in 5 minutes. It was amazing to see.
John Gruden didn't pick Derek Carr. He's never been married to him. It seems like every offseason, nobody really knows why, because Derek Carr's fine. I guess maybe it's just because they haven't gotten far with him, but they always seem to be in the quarterback mix. And they always want. Huh?
Then the defense has been horrible. It's not really.
Yeah, it's right. It hasn't been Derek Carr's fault. I'm just saying
been putting up the numbers. It's just like, what can you do?
They're involved in every single quarterback. It seems like that's out there for the last few years since Gruden's taken over. So I don't know. I don't know what it is about him.
They just re-signed Nate Peterman to a 1-year extension.
Yeah,
I just put out a tweet. That it was a joke that they're definitely getting rid of Carr now since they just re-signed.
Yeah, well, now that they got Peterman back,
that has to be it, right? But speaking of Watson, a lot of people, a lot of pundits, media personnel, and fans, after that press conference with Ron Rivera, Martin Mayhew, and Marty Hurney, they kind of looked at it and said, oh, this doesn't sound like somebody that's willing to give up the farm for Watson. So let me get your opinion on that, Jesse. Do you feel the same way?
I came out of that press conference thinking, I even put out a comment during it. I was like, well, there goes Watson. After going back and kind of thinking about it, it's not that it's totally out of the question, but they're not going to mortgage the farm for one player. I don't think they're something that's going out right now is 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 defensive starters. I don't think that's happening. You take away two defensive starters, and it's going to come from they're going to want somebody from the defensive line. You're going to take away the nucleus of our team, the core of our team, what made our season last year. And I think that's a regression rather than a progression, taking players like, of that caliber away. I don't think it's out of the question, but I think it's most likely they're not going to make a big run at Watson. That's what I got out of it.
See, I'm not sure about all that, dude. I still think that door's open. I don't think it might be halfway closed. I think it might be slowly closing, but I don't think it's fully closed. What about you, Hall? Since you listened to that whole press conference, did you get the same feeling as the media and some fans?
Yeah, I definitely got that feeling. I feel like the first and the third that they put up for Stafford this year is pretty much, I think, is what they're going to put out for any type of quarterback. There's going to be the starting point for them because we have 2/3 this year, and whatever quarterback, whatever player that we were going to draft at 19 would obviously most likely be better than the unproven product coming into the draft in the NFL. So, yeah, I think they're going to start with a first and the third rather than a first and the first, just because, like they said, they don't want to mortgage the future. They know this is still a slow rebuild, and they want to be able to acquire the young talent to keep bringing in the free agents, to keep rebuilding, retooling the cabinet, if you want to call it that, to be competitive for years to come, not just a couple years and then regress. Because everyone knows once you start to regress around here in Washington, Dan Snyder kind of steps in, and that's when everything becomes chaos again. So definitely got to keep building for the future, and the way to do that is to keep them draft picks and keep your guys, like Ron Rivera said. So I don't think they're going to mortgage the farm away, but like I said, I think the starting point on any person that we're going to bring in as quarterback-wise is that first number 19 pick and one of our third-round picks.
Yeah, before you go, Reed, I will say there must be a new strain of dope going through Vegas, because if that reporter's right that they're requesting 2 first-rounders for Carr,
that's got to just be a starting point.
They have to
no
be
way.
high, dude.
Stafford didn't even get that. So
if Stafford just
I
went,
would be shocked.
I understand Carr's younger than Stafford, but if Stafford went for a 1 and a 3, Carr's not going for 2 1s. Come on. That's ridiculous.
There's no way.
Now, they must be. You know what? Vegas, they always say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, that got out. That stupid trade request, that got out. That didn't stay in Vegas.
Yeah, and my whole point with that whole thing is, like, it's great that you guys want that for Carr and you want Watson, and what I told our Raiders buddy. But at the point, like, your problem isn't offense. Your problem is defense. And so giving all of those assets away to be able to go get Watson is not going to help your team very much. You're going to be stuck in that plateau of where Watson just was in Houston, which is a 4-win team without a defense. You got to build up your defense first before you can even make a move at quarterback. So, from my opinion, they have to stay with Carr. But let me not get off track. Reed, from that press conference with Ron Rivera and the new GMs, did you think that the door is closed on Watson coming to DC?
I wouldn't say necessarily closed, because you never know with these guys, it seems like, but it's highly unlikely. I mean, just like everybody said, I don't think that they want to mortgage their future. And one thing that caught me by surprise was when they said that either this season or next season, they got to find their guy. So within the next couple of years. So that means that right now, if they don't get who they want to get this offseason, then it is what it is. They're comfortable with who they have rolling forward, unfortunately. So we'll see, we'll see what happens, but they're not going to press it. But look, maybe they decided that, hey, this guy's worth it. Watson's 100% worth it, or the price, or the price drops down a little bit, or Brett Favre talks to him,
He hyped up Kyle Allen a lot too in that press conference a little bit.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest things to me, is because they asked him about Alex Smith, and they talked about having respect for Alex Smith, and he didn't really answer the question on Alex Smith starting next season. And then when they asked about Kyle Allen a couple minutes later, he said, "Oh yeah, Kyle Allen's in our plans." So it's like, whoa. So that's kind of breaking news right there, that Alex Smith might not be returning to the Washington football team, which I was talking to Colonel today, and I was like, look, I love Alex. I respect the hell out of him, what he's done here, but that cap number's way too high, and that has to be adjusted. I'm sure that's what their mindset is as well. You know what I mean? So as long as that number comes down, then we can start discussing on what's going on with the offseason. I just don't think it's going to be a possibility. I think the door is still open for Watson. I know everyone is looking at the press conference like, oh, this is somebody that doesn't want Watson. He's telling us that he doesn't want to mortgage a future for it. Hold on now. This is a negotiation process. When you go and buy a car from a dealership, you have to be willing to walk out of the door to get a better deal. What Ron Rivera is doing is using the media as a pedestal to talk to Houston to say, we're not that desperate. You might think that we are, but we're not going to throw all that you want. And then they're trying to bring the price down. I think they would absolutely love Watson if the price is right. And right now, it's just way too much. Yeah. And obviously, you'd be dumb not to.
Third comes in.
Right, and so
that boost it up, you can go first and second, and then go from there.
Right, so like, what did you guys want him to do? Show up at the press conference and say, we're going to do everything in our power to get a quarterback this offseason. We're going to trade for one? That blows your leverage right out of the water.
We're going to give up whatever they want for Deshaun Watson. I don't care if it's 10 first-round picks.
Exactly.
Like 10, make it 20.
What people are saying. Oh, man, it's irritating. Yeah.
And I understand that everyone's kind of using it as validation to say, oh, the door's closed. It's not happening. It's not happening. Look, this is chess, man. This ain't checkers. And Ron Rivera is playing this the right way, and he understands that by saying that they need to go do this, it loses all leverage, and they're in a position now where they have to give more than they need to. Because at this point, it's a waiting game. They have to wait and see if it's like a pimple. You know, the pinch is gonna come where Watson's gonna want out, and they're gonna have to make a decision. And that's when that point is. is going to be the biggest question and where we're going to see with this team. But like you guys said, it has to happen sooner rather than later.
That was a nice analogy. You said the pimple. That was awesome.
Everybody can relate to it.
Yeah,
everybody. We've all had them.
I had one early today. I was like, damn, I'm almost 40 years old. I'm still getting them. Jesus Christ.
That's the depressing thing. You think that when you grow up, you're going to stop getting pimples.
Nope.
You don't.
But Jesse asked me this on the pod last night, and I saw this coming through the pipeline on Twitter. But I've seen the rumors of people talking about, the hypothetical trades that could happen. So, Hull, I'll start with you first. Kirk to DC, would you welcome it?
I started something. Oh, no.
Man. You know what? If it was like one of the last options and it was like he didn't have to give a lot of stuff for Kirk.
Over Cam Newton?
Yeah, definitely over Cam Newton.
Oh, my God.
But
I'm right there with you,
trade
man.
assets for Kirk rather than signing Cam.
Yeah.
Oh, my
not even
God.
I think Kirk gives us the best chance.
Did you see what
to
Rodney
win.
Harrison said about Cam Newton? He said he's done. He's done. It's like, I'm not really taking what he says for granted. But, like I said, come on, man. The man had 5 passing touchdowns until he played the Jets.
I'm just poking you a little bit. I'm trying to wake
I
you
know,
up.
I know. But I would look. If he somehow worked his way back and circled back to Washington, would I be happy about it? No. Like, would I be like, oh, man, Kirk's back, what the hell? No. Because he did put up numbers when he was here in the right offense. And when he had weapons around, you would think by then they would have a little bit more weapons other than Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin. So, would it be the worst thing? No. Would it be the best thing possible? No. It'd just be kind of meh.
No, I would not welcome it because we'd have to trade assets for it. We've seen what Kirk has produced here, and he showed loyalty to money and his ambitions in life rather than to the team. And honestly, obviously, he didn't owe them anything. They kind of tarnished his name while he was here. He wasn't accepted by the fan base. Look at any quarterback around the league that's a starter for their team. You see their jerseys up front and center everywhere being marketed and everything. That never happened for Kirk. Nobody was doing that here in Washington. And so he didn't owe them anything, obviously. But the fact is that he left, and that door is closed, in my opinion. I don't want these old quarterbacks that used to play for them. This fan base is a weird obsession with them. I don't know.
The one caveat I would put in there is the defense when he was here every single year was
abysmal.
Trash. Yeah.
With this defense, we could actually win games with Kirk Cousins doing. I don't know. Yeah. Kirk, I don't know, man, because I don't know.
It's Kirk, Kirk, what was it though? Kirk did say something super tight this offseason about COVID. What was it? He was talking about not wearing a mask, and he was like, "If I die, I die."
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
That's
about
the kind
that.
of mindset you want from anybody on your team. Man.
That was the most alpha thing that Kirk has ever said.
If I die, I die.
If I die, I die.
No, yeah, he sounded like a Russian from a Rocky movie or something.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into our fan questions here a little bit. First one from Burrows. Oi! What linebacker stands out to us that we should make our number one priority? Either free agency, draft, or I'm sure a trade's not going to happen, but let's have some imaginations go wild. What about you, Jesse?
I'm going Xavier Collins. I love that kid. Sideline to sideline. He just shows up all over the tape.
He can do it all.
He can. And he would be what I would love. But my dream scenario, if we hold on to the 19th pick, is if we can find a team to trade back to, say, between 24 and 27, he should still be there.
Yep.
Unless he has, a fantastic pro day, and grab him and pick up some extra picks. I think that would be perfect.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy taking him at 19. Hell.
Yeah.
It's almost like a no man's land there at 19. And we talked about on Tuesday, we wouldn't be mad if they traded back, to get more picks, because in that spot, it might be too early for linebacker. You know what I mean? So what about you, Reed? Is there somebody you're eyeing either in free agency or the draft?
Yeah, but I'll just take one. There's a few guys, but I'll take one. Leave some for you guys. Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa, Woo, as they call him, from Notre Dame. He's just my other favorite linebacker in this draft. He's a very good coverage linebacker, fantastic in coverage. He's one of those new age linebackers. Everybody wants to talk about his weight. He's 215. Darius Leonard played this past year at 215. This dude can do it.
Did.
He can play well. He can come up against the run too. Or Another name to watch out for round 2, Chaz Surratt from North Carolina. The dude just learned the linebacker position. He's very good in coverage, very raw athlete. Used to be
I think
a
he was a quarterback, wasn't he? Yeah.
Used to play quarterback, and he is somebody to look out for as well because he has all the tools. He just needs a little bit more experience.
Yeah, Chaz is very, very fast. I did a film breakdown on him. It's just getting off blocks seems to be his issue right now.
And
obviously
a
being
lot
new
of
to
that'll
the
come with
position.
experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. What about you, Hall? Is there anybody you're eyeing?
Yeah, you guys took my top 2
Mhm.
from Notre Dame. So I'm definitely with Jesse where we can like somehow maybe trade back to 2022, 23 area, draft Xavier Collins. I would be highly, highly cool with that because he can be our linebacker sideline to sideline, athletic, can be the staple in that middle of the defense for X amount of years going forward.
He can even help make up for the loss of Kerrigan in them because he can rush the passer so well on blitzes. He can do it all. He can do everything.
But if they want to go the old Wiley vet route and bring in someone that has experience, someone that Ron Rivera has seen in his division and his past at Carolina, knows his abilities, someone obviously that NFL notices as one of the top tier guys, I would try to target Levante David just because, again, you know what he's brought to the table. He's one of those tier 2 middle linebackers that can go sideline to sideline. He's great in coverage, so I wouldn't mind having Levante David as the captain or the quarterback of that defense, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then mine, look, since you guys took it, but I really do love Nick Bolton out of Missouri. I think the dude is reminiscent of London Fletcher.
Linebacker.
Yeah, he's a middle linebacker. He calls all the plays out. He can also rush at times and be able to come off the edge. And I know that his passing grade is not the best in the world, but that's the kind of middle linebacker that you need because the weak side linebacker with Cole Holcomb is essentially filled. But then it's the other side. It's a strong side in the middle. And if you can get Nick Bolton, like Jesse said, by trading back, because that it's that no man's land there at 19. You don't know which one to go with. And so if you trade back and if Xavier Collins is gone, because the one thing about Xavier Collins I did like, his body type, like the length that he has, it fits what this defense is.
And
when you think about Chase Young and Montez Sweat, they're just kind of the long, lanky, very athletic guys, and that's what Xavier Collins is, in my opinion. He almost looks like Isaiah Simmons in a way. Obviously not the same accolades.
He's got good ball skills too.
Yeah, I was about to say he uses those long arms well. Always seems to be around the ball. He had 2 game-winning interceptions returned for touchdowns this past year.
He's got a 32-yard average return average for
so crazy for a linebacker.
It's crazy,
another veteran linebacker to keep an eye on, possibly, just depending if they don't spend too much on like a Levante David, but it's KJ Wright. He's somebody who could be available after the Seahawks drafted Jordan Brooks last year. KJ Wright's somebody who has experience, played in the Super Bowl, and you could come in there and you could really help out this defense.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic one. But I will say, Kevin Pierre-Louis, Pro Football Focus just gave him a grade for passing coverage, and he was the 5th best in the league for passing grade, which I was very surprised. Everyone
got better. He got better after the first few games.
Yeah, early on it was tough, but then he And that was his thing.
I just saw from Pro Football Focus, they rated Jimmy Moreland as one of the best pass coverage corners in the league. 0 touchdowns he gave.
Yeah, I didn't know that was crazy. I didn't know he didn't give up any touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I wish we would have known that when we had him on.
Yeah, right? I know.
Then we could have asked
that would
him
have
about
been a great stat to be able to talk to him about. Besides the Mia Khalifa question, that was phenomenal. I mean, that's just all-time great stuff. Great question.
He was so quick too.
Yeah, great question from Burroughs. Thank you, brother. Now, Colonel has a question for us. Thank you, Colonel. He wants our analysis of the O-line. Do we upgrade at any point? Do we keep what we got? And the 2 guys that he has in question the most is Jaron Christian and Sadiq Charles. Are they can they be used in this offensive line? Are they guys we're going to kind of move on from? And I'll start with you, Jesse.
The book's still out on Charles. He played in 1 or 2 plays before he got injured. I think
that was the best 2 plays of my life.
Yeah, I think you got to cut ties with Christian. I think he's had enough time to try to show what he had and to get better, and just hasn't done it yet. I love Charles as our left guard, even though Schweitzer did great this year. But if he can hold on to that, like the high caliber guard, if we keep Brandon Sheriff, which is, something that a decision that has to be made this year, if we're going to pay him, a huge contract or not, or, fit Charles in there and keep Schweitzer.
Right.
Guards are a dime a dozen. You can find a guard anywhere. There's a lot of good ones coming in the draft, but I would definitely cut Christian. And I'm looking forward to see what Charles has and can bring to the table. And even if he can kick out to left tackle, do that too, because that's a premium position right there.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Reed? Do you agree with Jesse? Do you want to get rid of Jaron Christian?
Yeah. I mean, there's no question about it. The offensive line played a lot better with Cornelius Lucas in there than they did with Jaron Christian. And Jaron Christian, he's had so many opportunities. If he hasn't been able to learn how to play or how to do a sufficient job at left tackle or right tackle, or be a swing tackle just in general, with two of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL yet, then you just got to move on from him. He's not there yet. Do they have to upgrade the offensive line unless they lose Sheriff? No, they don't have to, but will they? Yes. Could they? Yes. I think that they do take somebody who can play that left side, be it guard or left tackle fairly early in the draft, or even look at free agency at some of these under the radar guys like they did with Schweitzer last year. But like Jesse said, Sadiq Charles is somebody who he offers that positional flexibility you hope he can. Like I would feel comfortable with him at guard, but if he can step in there and play tackle like he did at LSU, anywhere close to that, then you got your guy. But that's a big if.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy, to be perfectly honest. And look, I love you, Jesse.
And he's got to stop posting stupid pictures on Instagram.
Dude, I don't understand why he won't separate his legs.
He doesn't. I don't think he can. First of all, those things are tree trunks.
I know, but he has huge calves. Why are all of his pictures, his feet are so close together? It's like, let some air come in there, dude.
Yeah, if you guys want to have a good laugh, follow his Instagram. He posts
I love
some
Sadiq.
pics.
He's hilarious, dude. He just seems like such a funny guy.
He seems like the funniest.
I love you, Jesse, but I don't think that they should cut Jaron Christian yet. Jaron Christian, he was a rookie last year. This was his second year this year, and so I believe he has one more year on his contract.
Jaron Christian's been around for this is his third or fourth year.
I don't know about that.
I sort of look it up right now.
Remember, he said his rookie year when he came in, he didn't work all that hard because that was the transition year. We're talking
about how many years he's been in the league.
Yeah. When his first year was Jay Gruden getting fired. Last year,
that was not his first year.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Pretty sure this is like his fourth year coming.
Pretty sure it was. Yeah, this has got to be like his fourth year.
Yeah, I thought this was a make or
break
year.
He's been here for a while. Yeah,
I don't know about that.
I'll pull it up. It was soon as it was the year we lost Nsekhe.
You're right.
Because we drafted him to be his replacement.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so.
It was.
Let me see it.
I'm trying to pull it up.
I want proof, damn it.
You have internet
I'm waiting for it.
I'm trying to pull it up.
But in all seriousness, I don't think this offensive line is good enough, Colonel, to be able to just let guys walk. But especially cheap guys like Jaron Christian.
I agree with you on that part. I think we did okay last year, but we can definitely improve in some areas. And the depth, you always need offensive line depth. We were relatively healthy, and that hasn't happened in God knows how long, but you always need that depth.
Jaron Christian was taken in the 2018 draft, so this was his third year. This is his fourth year coming up. Exactly. 2018, 2019, 2020. You owe me that hat.
He's only 24 years old, but I will say he's a lot cheaper than Brandon Sheriff. And that's
you're absolutely right about that.
That Brandon
because he's not anywhere as good.
Yeah, and with Brandon Sheriff, I know that all pro tag kind of just kills the Washington football team right now.
Right.
Because
almost like they did it on purpose.
Well, he was going to get $15 million regardless.
Well, yeah, but either way, they're in a bad situation because it's the first all pro that they've had since the 90s, and that's a big, heavy price tag. He does have some injury history in his past here with Washington, and so are you going to really mortgage $16 million per for a guy that has missed some time? And look, I love Brandon. I would love Brandon to be able to come back here, but the NFL is a business, and you have to make those smart decisions. And I'm not sure if Brandon Sheriff bringing him back as the right guard is the best recipe for them right now. But look, I'm not in that building. And that 16 mil per, I'm not sure if that's very enticing to Ron Rivera right now, given the fact that they don't know what's going on with that quarterback position. They don't know what's going on with Alex Smith. Is he going to be able to restructure, or are they going to straight up just release him, or is he going to retire? There's a lot of money delved in there. I know they just re-signed Chase Royer, and then with Wes Schweitzer balling out this year, that was phenomenal. But I like depth a lot, and cheap guys especially, and I think Jaron Christian definitely supplies that. But you bring up a great point, Jesse, about Sadiq Charles kicking in at guard. I thought that he looked very good at guard when I did my film breakdown of him. I thought that he fit better as a guard in the NFL. So I would love to see that, but at the same time, that's still a question in itself because he's had injury history. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I'm weirded out by it. I'm not going to lie to you. That's a great question from Colonel. Now, let's go to Scott Hartley's question. What positions are you addressing in free agency haul outside of quarterback?
Well, number one, obviously, I've been beating the drum for this for 2 years now, but number one is wide receiver. That has to be the number one target. They tried to do it last year. They addressed it with Amari Cooper. Smartly, he turned it down because he's not worth 20 to 22 million, wherever we were offering him. Not even worth 20 million, what he got from Dallas. But it was a better quarterback situation, so obviously he chose the smarter of the two teams. But with that being said, I've been beating the drum for Allen Robinson, my number one target. Can't get him. Go after someone like Curtis Samuels. He already knows the system from Carolina. He can come in, plug and play, be a contributor opposite Terry. And then that third, if you have to go outside of those two, I'd bring in someone maybe like hopefully Marvin Jones, a Corey Davis, some AJ Green, maybe if he can pass his physical and maybe say a little bit.
That name did get floated up the other day.
Yeah, because he'll be a little bit cheaper. He's a vet. He's not going to take a lot of money. So those are like my guys that should be targeting wide receiver wise. But outside of that, anything goes from there.
Yeah, look, with AJ Green, I know that was floated around, but dude, that worries me. Like in Cincinnati, it's AJ Green, right? It's been AJ Green for so many years, and those young wide receivers pushed him out the room. He was barely utilized. He was frustrated all year long, and I know that he is going to be cheap. He does bring that big playability, but if he did have that ability, why wouldn't they be playing him more? Why wouldn't he get the ball?
He was also
more?
injured this season, though.
I know, but that's another concern that you
I
bring
want
in
young
AJ
guys.
Green who's going to be injured.
That's why he can be cheap on the market, and it'd be like, get maybe 10 to 12 games out of him and some playoff push games.
It's just another Josh Doxson, in my opinion. And that's what I'm worried about. Is that
only one who can teach the younger kids how to play.
That's not
Hopefully.
true. Terry will be fine with that, in my personal opinion.
I'm talking about the younger guys like the Antonio Gandy Golden, who's a similar player. Yeah.
Now, what about you, Jesse? What's one position you're addressing in free agency outside of quarterback?
Look, it has to be wide receiver. And I know everybody wants Allen Robinson, and I get it. He's fantastic.
Right.
He is a great receiver, and I wouldn't hate it if he goes on my team. But we also need a slot receiver, okay? We can get a Corey Davis, because we already have a number one wideout in McLaurin. We can get Corey Davis for our wide receiver too, and get Curtis Samuels in the slot for probably just about $3 or $4 million more than what Allen Robinson is going to want. He's going to want $20 million. And to be able to get him here, he's probably going to want like $21, $22 million because we haven't established our quarterback situation yet.
This would be his third team without a quarterback, go from the Jaguars to the Bears to the Washington
So
team.
he if we can convince him to come over here, we're going to have to overpay like we normally have to do for good free agents.
Yeah, and if you're talking about re-signing Brandon Sheriff, there's no way that you could even be thinking about signing Allen Robinson.
Yeah,
at that point, it's at $37 million just by those two contracts. I know that you can structure them differently to be able to spread the money out and the cash and to save your cap a little bit, but still, that totals a lot. For me, Scott, I'm looking at corner, and I'm not saying that we should go get anybody, but I will say they should re-sign Ronald Darby, who is hitting the free agent market. Yeah. But the one question to me is, when Ron was in Carolina with that great front that they had, they let Josh Norman walk, right? They let him go and test it. And to me, it almost feels like they're the type that would rather draft at that position and allow somebody to come in and make a play and look really good and get it for the cheap rather than having to re-sign a guy. So if Ronald Darby's willing to take a great deal, that's where I'm going at and headed to and trying to get him back because he played incredibly well. Probably one of the best years of his career at the corner spot. What about you, Reed?
Absolutely.
What's one position you're going to target free
I'm
agents?
obviously, like you guys said, wide receiver. I think that they, like I've said multiple times, they double up at wide receiver, be that free agency and the draft, or just the draft. I think that they need two guys. But obviously, linebacker, we addressed that a little bit earlier. But I'm going to go with another position. We're going to need to help to get some veteran or some young pass rusher who maybe, is going to be on a cheap deal to help spell Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Because with Ryan Kerrigan and Ryan Anderson gone, I mean, you just look at the rotation. They rotated so much, and those guys having to play so much more. It's gonna be a lot of wear and tear on them. So they need somebody who can come in and spell them, preferably a savvy veteran who can put his hand in the ground and really rush the passer, even if it's just one of them, just one to come on in there and kind of replace Ryan Kerrigan. I'll be okay with that.
You're right.
Yeah, it's a fantastic one. Now, Mike's question. I'll start with you, Jesse. Why are there so many players that are a bust in the first round over the years?
The draft is such a crapshoot in a sense. You do all the scouts and coaches. They do their due diligence, but sometimes highly talented players fall out of love with football, and maybe the coach can't get through to them and bring them back. But it happens, man. It's especially when you go deeper into the draft. It's like just throw a dart, pick a player, and
Doug Williams.
And it happens.
Remember, Doug Williams lit up social media with that comment saying the draft is a crapshoot.
It is, and we're not the only team that fails at picking players. Every team has that issue. It's just how it is, man.
Yeah. Go, Reed.
I'm sorry. A lot of it's not even necessarily, might not even be the players, like necessarily, like the character of some of these players. It might just be scheme fits sometimes. Sure. It might just be they come in there and they're just not, and then that kind of ruins them. I mean, it's such a shame to see people that are so talented that have the opportunity to go in the first round. Because when you look at it, like before the draft, you look at all these first round possible picks and you're like, that guy's going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud. And you can name like 30 of them of the 32 that you're like, those guys are all going to be great. It doesn't happen like that. There's maybe a handful of them that are very good. And then the rest, there's going to be people that bust. So it's such a hard thing, especially this offseason. It's going to be very hard, but scouting's got to be one of the hardest jobs in the world to find somebody that fits your style and what your coach wants. And I don't know how they do it, but hey, that's why they get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. I mean, you have injuries, you have numerous things that could possibly be the reason why these guys fall, but it's kind of like a life thing. When a thirsty dog runs faster, these like guys like James Harrison, the undrafted free agents, Antonio Brown, those guys had to work to get their spotlight, and that kind of really transcends the next level where you have guys like Haskins who believe that they're deserving of the world and that they don't have to work very hard to be able to get there. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure of the situation he was in and if he really was working hard, but what we've heard from that tablet fiasco, when they were able to see how much time he was using on it, it kind of shows you that those guys typically don't work very hard. And what I mean by those guys is those top first-round picks are highly coveted at coming out of college. Everyone thinks that they're very, very good. They're going to do well. But it happens every year, dude. And it's just a life thing, in my personal opinion, about how hard you're willing to work. Because everyone knows when you get to the NFL, you have to work even harder. What was that percentage, Hall? It's like the NFL is like 90% mental, 5% physical.
They say that the NFL is 80% mental, 20% physical.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to have the mental fortitude to actually keep pushing forward every single day, get up for practice every day, go through the workouts every day, play on Sundays, do the rehab, keep your body in shape. Obviously, like you got to be constant travel. You got to be a responsible adult most of the time, So
I say it's a grind. The NFL season is a grind, and sometimes it wears people down, and that's why I said sometimes people just fall out of love with it. You know?
And look, most of these guys are all superior athletes than your average person. They're all very athletic. The playing field's plenty even there. Obviously, people like Chase Young, Montez Sweat, they're a little bit different. Lamar Jackson, some of these freaks of nature. But I mean, pretty much everybody's fairly athletic, and they've been playing football their whole life, and they've always been the best person on their team. So they have that attitude, but it's mental. Most of it is mental. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. Now let's move on to the
80% mental, Kyle.
80%. I know I said 90. But let's move on to the Super Bowl matchup. Let's talk about the biggest game of the year, fellas. Let's talk about it. Now, the first question that we have regarding it is Tony. And Tony Tiger, our guy, he said, one player in this Super Bowl that you wish was on Washington's roster besides quarterback, of course. And I'll start with you, Jesse.
Oh, Tyreek Hill, man.
Yeah, can you go?
I mean, he's the cheetah. He's fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't mind Kelsey either, but the first person I'd pick would be Hill. Absolutely.
Now, for me, I'm going to have to go with Mike Evans. That's my dude right there. He is a ball magnet. He plays injured. He fights. Look, that guy has played with Jameis Winston and then comes with Tom Brady, and look at him balling out a little bit. I love Mike Evans. He's a baller. He's a superstar. He can catch anything thrown to him, and he would bring a lot of attention taken off of Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas. Combined with those two guys' height, dude, that's a recipe for success right there, in my opinion. What about you, Hall?
A lot of weapons. I'd probably go Travis Kelce just because last time this offense really prospered, really shined. We had the Jordan Reed, Vernon Davis, double tight end attack. So if you get someone like Travis Kelce, who's probably the best, if not the top two tight end in the league behind George Kittle, you can go 1A, whatever it is. Or and go with Logan Thomas as well. I mean, that'd be like dual threat, kind of like the Patriots with Aaron Hernandez and Gronkowski. Kind of similar.
Tandem, man.
I rewatched his documentary the other day, by the way. Aaron Hernandez's story is so fucking crazy.
I know it is.
Dude, the weirdest part about that story was the dude that said he had a romantic relationship with him, and like his dad's there with him the whole time. Like, dude, don't you feel awkward doing this?
Right.
Well, no, because he was out of the closet.
No, I know, but like his dad being there having to sit through that, it's like, I don't know, like, why would you want to talk about with like that kind of stuff with your dad sitting next to you? It's
because I mean, you ever seen that? I'm proud of my son that he's gay. Like that's like.
No, of course, dude. But I'm just talking about like, let's say you're sitting next to your dad. You want to talk about your sexual exploits next to your dad? No, dude, I don't want to do that.
You don't sit there and you're not like, oh, my son went to Harvard. Oh yeah, well, my son's gay. I'm proud of him. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go with. I want to say Devin White because I feel like Devin White will take our defense to the next level. But I'm going to go with offense because offense, obviously, we need more help. You guys have all listed all the other receivers that I would have taken and the tight end. So I'm going to go with Chris Godwin. That could happen. His contract's up after this year. I highly doubt it. But, I'm going to go with Chris Godwin. He's young. He's big. He's physical. He's got all the tools that you really look for in a wide receiver. And I think he would complement Terry fantastically.
Yeah, I know that the Hall had posted a report earlier saying the Patriots were going to go after with a big contract toRis Godwin.
Damn.
4 years, $78 million.
That would make a lot of sense for them. Yeah, they need it. The only question is quarterback for them at this point.
So what was that report today that Washington is going to be going after a tight end like Hunter Henry?
Yeah,
I know that they have said that they like these two tight ends, which is why they went after Austin Hooper last year. As well, figured Logan Thomas wouldn't be the guy, but they could use them together. I know you need two tight ends for Scott Turner's offense, but I guess it depends on the price.
Was Henry was relatively healthy this season, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think for the first time
he's been in years since he's been drafted. Yeah. Absolutely. Great question, Tony. Thank you, brother. Now, Paul Murphy's question. Do we think it's going to be high or low scoring? His prediction is under 58. What do you think about that, Jesse?
I think it's gonna be high scoring. I'm gonna take the over on that one. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to break 60. To be honest.
Oh wow!
It's gonna be a shootout.
What about you, Hall?
Hallstradamus. Yeah, the official line is the official over under is 56.5. So I'm gonna go under. I think that with the offensive lineman of the Chiefs being out in this game is really gonna tend to the strength of the Bucs defense, which is their front four. They got a great front four. 2 bookends, Vita Vea in the middle, and Sue. But, I'm going to go under just because I think it's going to be not really a defensive shootout, but more of like a 21 – well, I'll get my score later. So, yeah, I'll go under.
Yeah, look, I'm right there with you. I do think it's going to be under, especially in this type of game with all that pressure built up with it. But that being said, the defenses here can be beat on either side of the football. So there can be a lot of scores put up. But I think the under. I just feel like this is going to be one of those games where it's going to be battled out, and it's going to come down to the last possession and who's got it. And if you're going to have to say Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady having who's going to get the ball last,
Right.
I mean, this could go to 100.
It could.
That's I was going to take the under because the way that the defenses are playing, but just to switch it up, I'm going to go with the over as well. Both these offenses can just be so explosive. There's so many weapons on both of them. And I mean, just look at what Tyreek Hill did to the Bucs last time he played them with over 200 yards in the first quarter. It's incredible. They're going to be eyeing him. That's going to leave Kelsey open, and it's going to be a shootout. Then I'll say, good old fashioned one.
The NFL would absolutely love that. 'Cause I saw Mark Tyler posted the other day that this is probably one of the most not lackluster, but just not hyped up Super Bowls in a long time. And the biggest news of the week was a barber getting possibly COVID and cutting everyone's hair mid-cut.
That's weird though, because the whole passing of the torch thing has been such a big thing. So I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that the Brady versus Mahomes, it could be a moment where he's passing it over to Mahomes, or Brady's I'm not done yet, motherfucker.
I just think he's saying that because it's
he wants clicks.
There's just no media. There's no media week. It's not the same.
Yeah, there's no Radio Row.
No, 100%. So that is what it is. It's because of COVID.
COVID has a lot to do with it, but I don't think the ratings are going to go down. I think, people are going to be watching, maybe even more because there's going to be less Super Bowl parties. So you're going to have everybody's going to have home.
Yeah, their own home. That's right.
I think the ratings might even be higher than normal.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so, not everybody's going to be gathered in one house on one TV. Everybody's going to be watching it by themselves.
That's a great point. No, great question. Now let's go to Paul's other question. What is going to be the highest scoring quarter, Paul?
Ooh, highest scoring quarter. I think I'll go in the second quarter. They get settled into the game after the first quarter. Everyone gets into a little bit of a rhythm, maybe on offense or defense. So I'll go second quarter.
No, I'll say fourth quarter. I think it's going to come down to the meat grinder there. And like I said before, I think it's going to be low scoring throughout the game. And then once it gets to that fourth quarter, we're going to see the Ferraris coming out of the garage, peeling out, and both of these teams are going to be lighting it up through the air with all of the tension and stress. Once they kind of feel each other out, I think that fourth quarter is going to light it up. What about you, Jesse?
I think the Ferraris are going to come out in the second quarter, but then the rocket ships are going to go off in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think there very well could possibly each possession is going to be a score of some sort. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a shootout. And the fourth quarter is going to score the most points.
What about you, Reed?
I was going to say fourth quarter too, just because that's when those two guys are going to turn it on, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. But I'm going to switch it up just because everybody else said something different. And I'm going to go with the first quarter. I'm going to say both quarterbacks are going to come out swinging. They're going to go for the fences. They're going to shoot themselves up with PED beforehand, and then they're going to fall out. And then it'll be a defensive game. By smelling salts, I mean cocaine. No, they're going to come out and they're going to be.
Oh my goodness, you're ridiculous. Now, Paul's last question before we get into the score predictions. Our Super Bowl food and drink menu for the day, and I'll start with you, Jesse.
Oh man, already got my steaks.
What kind?
I got filet mignon. That's my steak. My kids love it too. Yeah, it's maybe a little bougie, but it's
bougie as hell, Jesse. That's class.
But yeah, man, the steaks and I'm not having a party this year, so I'm just cooking steaks for me and my kids.
Are you drinking anything for the game?
Damn right. Some Tanqueray and tonic.
Oh, you're a tonic dude.
Yeah, some gin and tonic. I mean, it's not just any gin. It's got to be Tanqueray or nothing.
Dude, you are a man. I could not drink that stuff, dude, at all. No,
regular gin tastes like pine sol, but Tanqueray's got a good flavor to it.
It's a pine sol. To be honest, I really don't do much usually for the Super Bowl. Usually we just meet up somewhere or watch it. You know what I mean? And we order pizza or something. But I will tell you, I will be drinking Yingling. Yingling is my drink and my beer of choice, and that's what I'm going with. I have work on Monday, so I can't really go too ham with some liquor or some stuff. What are you going with, Hall?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably just maybe pizza.
We're not interesting in this kind of aspect at all.
Like maybe pizza, maybe some wings, something like that. What I'll be drinking is, I don't know, probably like some Bud Light or Budweiser, probably. Whoever brings a 30-pack, I don't know. Usually Bud.
The Miller High Life, you got it. What about you, Reed? You gonna be drinking or eating anything special on Super Bowl Sunday?
No, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna be eating all the cookies and all the baked treats that there is, and drinking water. And that's I've been sober this entire quarantine except for one day. So keep it up.
That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen on Sunday. I'll tell you that right now.
I do got to go though. I got to go tend to James.
All right, dude.
All right, guys.
Score prediction, real quick. Score prediction.
What did I say? I said over. Okay, I'm gonna go with 31 Chiefs, 28 Buccaneers.
All right,
Patrick Mahomes MVP again. All right.
All right. What about you, Jesse? You agree with Reed? I'll see you, brother.
I'm going 34-31. Chiefs get another Super Bowl victory.
Oh, you're going Chiefs too.
Yeah.
Is Tom Brady going to get it done? And that's the biggest question because Andy Reid and this team are so well built right now. They're just firing on all cylinders. I'll play devil's advocate. I'll go Bucs. I feel like the Bucs pass rush has really been showing that they're above par, that they're doing well, and especially with those offensive linemen being out for the Chiefs. I think the Bucs, Shaquille Barrett, I think they can get after it, dude. I think they can get after Pat Mahomes. They can get him flustered a little bit. I'll go Tampa 35-21. What about you, Hall?
Wow.
Well, I do think that the Bucs defensive line is going to get after Pat Mahomes.
I said under, and I just picked 59, by the way.
That's what I was thinking myself, too. Yeah, I think the Bucs line is going to get after Mahomes a little bit. I think that him and Brady are going to go back and forth, driving between the 20s, and then the defense will probably squeeze down a little bit, a lot of field goals, touchdowns here and there. So I'd pick the under, so I'll go 28-24 Chiefs. Chiefs late. Whoever has the ball last, but I'll go Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Whoever has the ball last is going to win this game.
Yeah, watch AB be the MVP.
Oh, my goodness.
Man, AB.
He's going to be twerking in the end zone.
Let me ask you a question. Were y'all clamoring for AB to come to Washington? Was it last year when he was available?
Not really, no. We weren't. We kind of were sniffing away from him, to be honest. I know Hall was kind of not on that wavelength. I know he did at first, but then over time it was just kind of it's not worth it.
Because we didn't really have the quarterback that was going to be able to throw the ball to him on a consistent basis. And if it was this year, I would have maybe thought about it, but
he was going where he wanted to go, and that was.
I told you on the beginning of the season, wherever Tom Brady signs, AB's signing, and then months later, what happened?
Remember, Bruce Arians stuck up and said, "No, we're not signing AB. We're sticking with what we're doing." Looks like Tom won that battle.
Yep.
Hey, Jesse, I can't thank you enough for joining us for this episode, brother. Everyone go check out the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. It's on Spotify, on iTunes as well. Make sure you go check out Jesse's new pod. It's some great stuff we just recorded last night, and it'll be. And so thank you so much, Jesse. I really appreciate it, brother.
Hey, appreciate you having me, man.
All right, everybody, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. But we might have a surprise for you on Sunday. Make sure you guys keep your YouTube channels up and ready because we might have something for you on Sunday. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
And I'm Jesse.
And Washington football. Hey! What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.